Sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling you need some kind of change. Standing tall on the wings of my dream, rise and fall on the wings of my dream. Rain and thunder, wind and haze, bound for better days. It's my life and my dream, nothing's gonna stop me now.
All right, welcome to TGIF, Tanner Grover and Vice Friends. It is day number 15,528 of being me, and we're in the middle of a heat wave, so I need something refreshing. And what's more refreshing than a new friend? And that's what I have here today. We all know that Lil Wayne skipped that Bangor show the other night, and I have it on good authority that he was down at Double Play Collectibles buying up all the In Flag We Trust merch. I have the guy to confirm it. This guy right here has been to Hollywood and back. He stood toe to toe with Will Smith, kept Jada's name out of his mouth, avoided the bitch slap. He is the excellence of entrepreneurship. Dave Harding, what's up, my man?
Tanner, what an intro. I'm good. And you know what? Lil Wayne did make his way through the shop. Privacy, no photos, please. So can confirm he was here.
Perfect.
Yeah, I did. I filmed with everybody in my film career, and now I'm the owner of Double Play. We're at like 2.5 years going strong. And that's how we met, was cards.
Yeah, I know. So I like to kind of begin off every show with our DOF, our date of friendship, which I think we can actually pinpoint, unlike some of my other friends, for longer. But I think I came in your shop around March, I believe.
That makes sense. And what was cool is this past weekend I was filming, came out of retirement to film the Drive for Kids for Barbara Bush and Patrick Dempsey at Falmouth Country Club, and I was working with Johnny Mailer, who filmed the piece on Main Life on Double Play, which is what you saw, I believe, that kind of sparked the interest of, oh, there's a shop in Scarborough, I should go check that out.
It was, yeah. And so, long story long, I was in Scarborough with my parents, and my mom was car shopping. So we were at the Mercedes dealership, which is like right down the road from Double Play. And I was like, you gotta bop in there. Like I've got these basketball cards. I've been itching to sell them. Let's see what it's all about and make it happen. And we went there, and then my dad just dropped the Larry Bird rookie right on the counter. It was
I was like, come on, you have a real one of these? I was just like, no way. So my mind's like, if he's got that, he's got some other stuff. And actually, I was thinking the other day, you still have that stack of magazines we got to go through.
I do. Yeah, I've got like always like Nintendo Powers and WWF magazines. And I know you're a wrestling guy too.
Love wrestling.
Yeah. Who's on like your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Man, it's Stone Cold. It's got to be Stone Cold, The Rock. You got to put Hulkamania up there. I think he's on everybody's Mount Rushmore. And then Undertaker. My uncle, when I was little, my uncle's like 6'10", huge red-haired guy. And my other uncle, who's like 6'8", was like, oh, your uncle's the Undertaker. I'm like, no way. He goes, why do you think you'd never see him on Monday night? And I'm like, 8 years old. I'm like, that kind of makes sense. Maybe it is. Just messing with me my whole life.
Dude, I have stories like that where adults pull the wool over your eyes. That's great, man. Mark Calloway, Dave's uncle.
Mark.
Yeah. Is that what his name is?
Mean Mark Calloway. And then, back then when we were watching, they had this thing called kayfabe. Now with the internet, you can't really keep up those personas, but like Undertaker would walk through the airport in character, talk to no one he did this for like 20 years.
Yeah, that's wild. I've seen a bunch of documentaries, and it's funny. When I was a kid, so I fell in love with it around the time Warrior was winning WrestleMania 6. And I would go to events in Portland. I was the muscular dystrophy poster child, and I had all these opportunities to do whatever the hell I wanted. And so the one thing I wanted to do was meet the Warrior. And so I went backstage. I met like Superfly Snuka, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Animal from the Legion of Doom, and Ultimate Warrior. And the dude was such a soft spoken guy, like to a kid. But I mean, just like perspiring everywhere, the crazy hair, the tassels. I mean, it was a trip. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, what's that like? Because I know from talking with you, you've met so many people. Do you ever get desensitized? I'm sure after a while you're like, all right, I'm just gonna meet this other person I see on TV, no big deal.
I think it definitely got to a point as a kid where you do get desensitized to it because everyone's a person, right? Like everyone's human. But like, all right, so let me ask you this. I mean, you've been around Cooper Flag because you guys are like the exclusive shop for the In Flag We Trust merch. Have you ever been around him when he's around like young kids and what that looks like?
Yeah, so the time we were at Fanatics Fest, it was we had a booth, and so Cooper's walking, but you see a sea of like 400 people moving in unison, like a big circle. He's got his security guard, mom and dad are there, his brothers are there, his trainer Matt, and so he comes to the front of the booth, and we did that video on Tops where he bought like spent 20 racks on one cards of his from me and my buddy Matt. But behind us, what people don't see is there's all these kids reaching over the booth. They got to be like 8 to 12 years old, and they're just begging for an autograph. Like they can touch Cooper. So they're like reaching out. And if he hadn't been on, like he came into the booth to take a photo, those kids were just starstruck the whole time. The only other person I've seen who was in the room earlier that day was Wemby. And Wemby just looks like, the Slender Man, just walking through the crowd. Everybody stopped in the whole Javits Center and had their phone out. But that effect on Cooper is, you can tell. Anytime kids are around him, they're like, my God, this is our Michael Jordan.
So let me ask you this. When you were a kid, who would be the person, could be athlete, could be superstar, whatever, that you would consider yourself like awestruck by?
When I was a kid, it was going to be Jordan or Bird. Like if I had met Larry Bird, I think I would have been like, whoa, man, I can't believe I'm meeting you. And my mom is from Carmel. So, huge Larry Bird fan from Indiana growing up. And of course I became a Reggie Miller fan as I was a Celtics fan. That was kind of conflicting. But if I had met Larry Bird, I mean, Jordan, of course, like Sunday, I felt like NBA on NBC. You'd hear the theme song and you'd run inside on Sunday. Whoever the Bulls were playing, you were going to sit there and watch.
What do you think of NBC coverage now coming back?
Phenomenal. Love the theme song. I mean, you've probably seen the SNL sketch.
Oh, with Keenan playing Barkley and
well, the other one, that one's good, but the one where it's Dave and John Tesh. He's like, this is my brother Dave, and he wrote a poem, and he just goes, ba 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 basketball, and they're like, could you do it without the words? It's like, what do you mean without the words?
I got you. Oh my God. What about, do you remember? So this was what happens to me. I go on like YouTube and I get down these rabbit holes. I end up watching probably like 5 to 10 minutes of a vintage game every day. And today's vintage game, it was like Kent Benson highlights. And he was like a player for the Pistons in like 1985. There's no way this dude could play today. He's got like, balding blonde hair, a porn stash, but he goes 7 for 7 in the first quarter. And it's probably like the best Kent Benson game ever. It was wild. But I don't know, you ever watch old games?
Yeah, I mean, I have a TV in here now dedicated just to like playing YouTube highlights on a loop, or ESPN used to do the instant classics or the ESPN classics. So in college, we would have that, channel 31 or whatever it was, the ESPN2. But it sounds like you made it to ESPN, the Ocho of YouTube.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this random guy in '85 regular season game. Yep, I'm watching the whole thing.
Yeah, no, that's my jam. I like bad movies too. You know, like
I do too. They have redeeming qualities. You know, I just watched Sleepwalkers, which great book, but I'm just like, this is the weirdest movie. But I get to the point I have to finish it. I have to know how it ends.
do you watch horror movies, Dave? Do you like horror?
I don't watch a ton of them, but I get so curious that I end up watching them. Like as a film major and a filmmaker for 16 years, like if there's a movie on, it's like that meme you see of the dad. The dad like stands there. He's not interested. He's doing something else. But then he like gets closer and he ends up sitting down and watching the whole movie. Like if you have a movie on, that's me. It doesn't matter. It could be a rom-com, a horror. I'll watch the whole thing.
So one like terrible, like low budget film that I watched this past Halloween was called Screamboat. All right. And so Screamboat, I think it was filmed entirely on the Long Island Ferry. I think like Pete Davidson and Colin Jost, they might even be producers, but it's a ripoff of Steamboat Willie. And so this whole thing now, where like all these IPs that like are no longer protected by Disney, they're turning them all into horror films. And so you've got like Screamboat. There's also like a Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
I'm just gonna bring that up. It seems like the cheapest to make film, the lowest hanging fruit. They're like, as soon as this is available, we're gonna already have this thing shot and we're gonna release it.
Yeah, I don't know. I was highly entertained. It wasn't good. It was like it's so bad that it's enjoyable. And I love stuff like that.
Like the Room. Like if you watch movies, you have seen The Room probably a few times or gone to a screening.
Oh, did you hear? I think Odenkirk is remaking The Room.
Amazing. I love Bob Odenkirk.
It's going to be insane. All right, let me. Let's stay on the idea. All right, so basketball cards. It's having a resurgence. You were saying that a little bit before we hit the record button. So why is basketball having a resurgence in the card business?
So there's definitely the local reason is, of course, Cooper Flagg, who was the Rookie of the Year last year. He'll be the only Mainer to ever go #1. Firmly believe that. The other Mainer to get drafted was Jeff Turner out of Bangor. So both guys, in the northern part of the state. So Cooper's a reason, but the other reason is Topps just got the license back for the NBA. They haven't had it since like Curry was a rookie. So what that means is, for the non-card people, you see a card, it says Boston, but it doesn't say Celtics. It doesn't have the logo. That's not licensed. So they can use the player's image in their photo, but they can't use the team name or the logo. So it's important to a lot of collectors that it says Boston Celtics or Golden State Warriors, fully licensed with the logo. And so for Cooper's rookie year to be that, everybody wants basketball. It's like, also basketball is international. So there's a huge market in China. There's a huge market in Japan. Like everywhere around the world, basketball is played. I'd say it's similar to soccer in popularity. Of course, if I didn't live in America, I would probably think soccer is easily the most popular sport. But living in the States, I have my bias, which is like it's basketball and baseball. And baseball now because of Ohtani in Japan.
So, man, soccer fans, they're a different animal. You've been watching like any of the YouTube videos with like the Scotland fans in Boston?
Dude, they took over. They ran out of Sam Adams. They were like, yo, there's no beer. Like, what do you mean there's no beer? They said they like 3 to 4x the amount of sales that St. Patty's Day did in just one random weekend of the Scots taking over Fenway.
Yeah, that's insane. I can't even imagine. So there are these guys that work in Booth Bay, and they're all from Turkey. They own this sushi restaurant, which I don't know if there's sushi in Turkey or not, but they honestly, they make the best sushi in New England, as far as I'm concerned.
Hey,
but these dudes, when Turkey got eliminated from the medal round, they were so depressed, and like I was just like, dude, are you okay? And they're like, no, man, like it was like a disgrace to our country. And I'm like, all right. And I know they went and turned around and then beat USA like 2 nights later, but it didn't, it didn't advance them or whatever. But like they take it so seriously, and I don't know if Americans like I don't know if we take sports as intensely as people from other countries. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I tend to agree with you. Of course, we think we're just these poor Red Sox fans, but we've had World Series, and now that they're playing bad, we could just go watch something else. But over there, like you said, it's only soccer. It's religion. You could argue it's bigger than religion. Like you hang out with your boys or whatever you do. You go to the pub, you go to a restaurant, you wake up early, especially over there. Like think about the hours those people are watching these games, and they're playing them all in the United States now. Soccer is just, it's a different beast, and it's like I never watch it until the World Cup. I don't even really watch. Does Olympics have soccer?
I am not sure about that.
So I just always assume it's World Cup only, but luckily for me, my manager Tom, who I just hired full time, he played in college and he loves soccer. So he's always trying to like educate me. So our podcasts have lately been like, Dave, you're watching all these games. What do you think? And I'm giving my like most layman's term description for like, I watched PKs. I was losing my mind. Like I start to sound like an actual like football hooligan.
Yeah. My soccer knowledge doesn't go beyond the FIFA PlayStation games. Like that's where I'm so limited that way. One thing I think we're both passionate about though is the NBA. So I'd be remiss. Let me get your take on Jaylen Brown. Well, what's happening? What are we doing?
I'm still like depressed and shocked, and I think what it comes down to, the most boring answer is there's now like special, like there's equity, right? So there's like now people owning the Celtics that don't really know. It's all the bean counters. It's all the like statistics and analytical people. This company owns part of the Celtics. They own 10% of the Spurs. So Bill Chisholm, the owner, he's just the face. He doesn't really have $6 billion. Like if you read the article, you'd assume, oh, this guy Bill, he just had $6 billion. He's like, cool, I'm gonna buy the Celtics, no big deal. And they don't even own the arena. So there's another company that owns the Garden. So the Garden leases it out to like, of course, the Bruins, the Celtics, and all these concerts and all these shows. And so it came down to money. The issue was they just didn't handle Jaylen in a good way. Like they could have said, look, man, we got to pick a Supermax contract. We got to take Tatum or we got to take you. We can't have both. And I think Jaylen would have accepted that answer. Like, okay, you got to shop me. I understand. Like he would have been less disappointed than you're the finals MVP. You won a finals. You played like an MVP. And now you're getting, trashed by these executive talking head people on ESPN. Oh, he wouldn't be the 7th best player on the team. He's going to be the best player on the Sixers. And all we got was Paul George and 4 picks. And nothing against Paul George, but he's 36 with a pretty big contract. So I think they're going to take Paul George and a couple of those picks, and he's never going to play for the Celtics. And they're going to trade him for something else because it's like day 3 of the trade deadline. And I don't even know what to think. I'm sad that they broke up the Jays.
In retrospect, if you could go back, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and make the deal for Giannis, do you do it?
You do it. And the reason that one didn't happen is allegedly because they didn't want to give him 3 years. They only want to give him 2 guaranteed years. So if you're already going to move on from Brown, you can't give up a little more? So again, this is private equity getting involved and not understanding the long game. They're trying to only maximize profits. I'm a capitalist. I get it. I'm all about profits, but you're not thinking of the bigger picture here. Look, it's happening to the Red Sox. John Henry is not interested in the Red Sox anymore. It's very clear. They own part of the Penguins. LeBron's an owner of the Red Sox. Tell me that one makes sense. They just don't care about the product on the field anymore. And that's the way the world goes, man. Like it's hard to get things at the right price and inflation. And I'm no economist, but I didn't like that move at all.
Sure. So dollars and cents aside, um, stick with just the basketball, just the chemistry. Why was the chatter with Giannis never around moving him for Tatum as opposed to Brown? I mean, what do you think of that?
So if it's just the basketball, if you go just to analytics, the Celtics had won 80% of their games with Tatum versus with Brown, it was like a lot less. So they're like, okay. And then I get the feeling that they just liked Tatum better for whatever reason. I think because he's more agreeable, Jalen's more outspoken, and if you're a big company, you go with the guy who's a little more of a yes man. I mean, he did have 51 points against the Sixers in a playoff game, and I just think he seemed to be the guy that they were going to ride no matter what, and they were hoping that JB would do something to help his cause to stay. But yeah, I just think they were always going to pick Tatum no matter what.
Have you heard this kind of crazy argument? I read this today that they didn't feel so bad about moving Jalen Brown because of how the Knicks won their title with Brunson, and that in a new era NBA, and I think this is insane. I don't agree with this at all. They feel that Pritchard can emulate Brunson and get to that level, and the team will really revolve around Peyton Pritchard.
I mean, I'm with you. It doesn't quite make sense. I love Peyton Pritchard, like I know you do too, but he listen, we'll see about that. That seems like a stretch of counterpoint. And Peyton Pritchard played in that tournament this last weekend. He said that was the first competitive tournament he'd played in, but super talented guy. And I know he comes off the bench. I just think they're like, oh, well, conveniently the Knicks won, and Jalen Brunson's like 6'1". It's like, okay, like they also had Cat, and they also have Mikal Britt. Like they had a full deep squad of Alvarado. Everybody off the bench for the Knicks impacted the game.
Oh, their chemistry was unbelievable. I mean, and I think there's something to be said for Brunson and Hart and Bridges. You know, having won at Villanova, having that chemistry, having it all built in. Like, you know, analytics can't like decode that level of chemistry. And, you know, they knew how to play to their strengths, right? Like Brunson didn't do it in quarters 1, 2, and 3. But in quarter 4, he knew that was his time. And the other guys were just such glue guys. They defended. I mean, the Spurs had no idea what to do with them. It was like kind of fascinating to watch. I was kind of glad that it was San Antonio and not OKC, because I feel like OKC would have rolled New York in the finals. I don't think it would have been very interesting.
I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, OKC was already battle tested, and then it basically comes down to like Shea versus Jalen Brunson at the free throw line. Those guys are both trying to get fouled. They're both getting to the hoop. They're both going to get 30 a game. The Spurs looked like the 22-23 Celtics. Like they were young and ready to arrive, but they weren't ready to close. And remember, they were up 2-1 on the Warriors and blew that series. So the Spurs just only won the first quarter of every game, and they couldn't close. They had that 29-point lead. Like once they lost that, you're like, oh, it's over. It doesn't matter. They're not winning this series.
I like that comparison. Well, we can go down the NBA rabbit hole for forever, but I want to bring it back to double play. And I want to ask you, like, who would be on your Mount Rushmore, another Mount Rushmore question, of valueless cards or valueless players? Like, who's the guy that you remember where it's like, you know, I got another one of these cards, you know? So 4 guys that you got to come up with.
Well, it was like I was a Celtics fan, so I kept hitting Dino Raja, who I loved watching, but his card wasn't worth anything. Then you had like Rafe LaFrentz. Mark Madsen. So you're talking like all the tall whites, even though
Yeah.
Raja's, Eastern European. And then the other card that I felt like I always hit basketball wise was like Frank Burkowski. So you
Yeah,
get
that was on my list.
these
Burkowski for sure.
90s guys, and who played for the Sonics in a finals. But you're like, okay. And as a kid, I don't understand. Like, I just think Michael Jordan's worth everything and nobody else matters. But I look at this guy and I go, this isn't even a card I want to keep. I don't even care it's a common. I just don't want it.
And there's so much of that. The other names I want to throw at you, just for nostalgia's sake, Dwayne Shintius, great mullet.
Dude, great flow, hockey flow.
Yep. Mike Juminski.
Wow, this is a great list already.
John Koncak.
Who, by the way, Shaq in his early days was having trouble with him, and his dad, or his, well, not his biological father, but his dad is in the military. He's like, you need to just dunk on this fool. Like, imagine John Koncak being an obstacle to Shaq.
Yeah, it's not an obstacle to Shaq. It's like, I would think what he did to Chris Dudley, he would do that times whatever to John Koncak.
Brutal.
The last one I want to throw at you, and this will tie in to golf, Joe Klein.
Joe Klein. All over that Last Dance documentary.
Yes. So I met Joe Klein when I was a kid. So that's like one of the people I met when I went down to the Celtics. And I told you this, I went to a practice in the 91-92 season, Bird's last season. And it was at Brandeis University. It was crazy. It was like, Rick Fox was a rookie. D. Brown is just running circles around Bird, but Bird's torching everyone in a 5-on-5 game, just like trotting up the floor, bad bat, three-pointer after three-pointer. McHale's there. He's ancient. Reggie Lewis is the man. But Joe Klein was like very friendly toward me as a kid, which I'll always remember. And so he ended up getting us tickets to, I think it was a Suns game, whom he later played for like the following year or two. But he introduced me to John Daly. So I have this photo, and it's myself, Joe Klein, and an inebriated John Daly on the Boston Garden floor.
How else would you meet John Daly? I feel like 80% of the time he's inebriated.
Yeah, but him and Joe Klein, they were like boys. Like they like knew each other. It was the whole thing.
That's an amazing story, and I bet that picture that's legit, man.
It's pretty epic. So tell me about this golf tournament. Because I saw a little bit of video from it. What was going on?
So Shamrock, shout out to Shamrock Sports and Entertainment, BC, Brian Cochran running everything with Patrick Dempsey. So you have all these celebrities. They're all showing up at Falmouth Country Club. And day one, it was like raining in the morning, but by 11, it burned us off. And then it's really nice the next 2.5 days. The first day is a pro-am. So members at the club, I think they auctioned off, like you get to play with the celebrities. So you got Vince Carter out there. You got the Bus, Jerome Bettis, Sterling Sharp. I mean, pretty good list. Wells Adams from The Bachelor. You have like Joey Grazide, Ben Higgins, Peyton Pritchard and Vince Carter were paired. Jay Billis was there. Jay Billis, super nice guy. I wanted to ask him a million questions, but I was working, so like I never really ask a lot of questions if I'm working, unless it's like a break and I have the camera down. Patrick Dempsey, of course, every hole he was taking a picture with like 10 women. They were all like, "Oh, McDreamy, we need a photo." He's like, "Sure, I know the drill."
So he's conditioned to it.
He's such a pro, and I think especially being in Maine and being at a tournament that his the Dempsey Center is headlining, he knows it's like extra responsibility to really be a steward of that brand. So he did a good job with that. Everybody was cool, but everybody was like day 1 and 2 when the tournament started. These guys win a purse if they win, so everybody's locked in. So Joe Pavelski who played 19 years in the NHL. He ends up winning the tournament. Last year, apparently, he hit a ball in the water on 18, and that's what blew it for him. Marty Fish, the tennis player, he had won 2 years in a row. He was going for the third, and he was neck and neck with Pavelski. I think he lost by like a stroke on the last hole. So we're filming like a YouTube episodic. So it's like day 1, day 2, day 3. By the way, Tom Caron's there, a fellow Mainer. He was playing with Deputy. I know him a little bit. Super nice guy, like loves Maine, of course. One of the owners of the Hearts of Pine. He's playing with Ollie Wright, who's like the best player on the Hearts of Pine. And then, you know, there's like Harrison Smith, 10-year NFL vet. Me and him are talking about traveling to the Bahamas. It's like when you get around people on that level, it's not just about the money. It's just about they have a different mindset on life. And like they really take time as their most valuable asset and not dollars and cents. So I love getting those like snippets of conversation because you feel like you're in a growth mindset place. And anytime I'm in there, whether I'm working or hanging out, it's a bonus.
Of all the names, the one I lit up for was Tom Caron because he interviewed me in high school, actually, when I was coaching at Booth Bay. It was like a whole kind of like, you know, human interest piece or whatever. But he was at Nesson. And I love that dude. He's awesome.
And every time I've been to Fenway with my family, remember they used to set up outside where on Yawkey Way. So they've like had it shut down now. So you know, they tear your ticket, you walk in. He's like, oh, come up. And he's like taking a picture with me and my dad, my aunt and uncle. I filmed with him when I did a book with David Ortiz like 10 years ago for his Children's Heart Foundation. And ever since then, it's like, oh, you're from Maine, I'm from Maine. That's like all it takes for us Mainers. We see a Mainer in the wild, we're like, we're friends, done.
Isn't that insane? I always do it. It really is. It's like, for me, where I like spend a large part of my life coaching basketball, it's always like 6 degrees of separation through basketball. So I'll meet someone and I'm like, all right, what year did you graduate? And I know you went to like Chevrolet, right? And so were you in 04? Is that what you were? 05, right. So you're a little after me. I'm in 01. But you'd be in that like Austin DeAngelis, maybe like Eric Friend might be a couple years.
My dog, E for 3.
Yeah. Right, yeah. You know, so it's like, but that's how Maine is. You know, and it's like, I know those dudes through basketball, and everyone knows everyone. It's crazy.
Yeah, even like Medley, like Nick Cantor Medley. I remember my going into freshman year summer ball, and I'm watching the Deering, somebody at the Big Red League at South Portland, and I'm like, it's like Walter and Nick. I'm like, I don't want to play those guys. I'm like an 8th grader still. Like, I'm not playing this game. No thanks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we so that like was my era, and they were a terror growing up. Like no one touched them. They were unbelievable, so tough. Those two and Jamal and Jake Estrella, like they just dominated, man. Best 8th grade team I'd ever seen.
Yeah, man, I bet. What a team. And then of course we got Ralph Mims. He's up there. One of those guys. I remember him playing the state final against Deering. I think he had like 52 of his team's 56 points, and they lost Deering.
Yep, yeah, that was Mims was unbelievable. He had a great career. All right, let me ask you this, because you're in the collectible business, right? So basketball cards we talked about. What are some of like the odder things that you have in your shop? What's like something very niche that you can find at Double Play?
So you can find, I have a collection of like 10,000 celebrity autographs that I bought from someone who, I guess the story goes, they couldn't pay their whole bill for like seafood, or they had been buying like lobsters or seafood for the restaurant. They didn't have money. And these autographs turned out to be the collateral. I end up with them, and now I'm doing a consignment deal with one of my good buddies who's from Bath. And this person was writing to like Matt Groening, Muhammad Ali, Jack Nicholson, like everyone you can think of back in the late early 90s, late 80s, so there's no eBay. And back then, people are like, yeah, I'll sign your picture. That's cool. I have 20 index cards signed by Sir Alec Guinness. I mean, these are like $400.
Obi-Wan
Obi-
Kenobi.
the one and only Obi-Wan. I have I'm looking at a Tom Brady peacock. There's 3 of them in the world, signed by Tom Brady, graded card. I'm going to bring that to Fanatics Fest in a couple weeks and try to get Tom to buy it. Hopefully I'll be like, hey, I know you get the money. I want $10,000. You can have your card back. You signed it.
I love it. That's awesome.
And then behind me, all these things that say eBay, these are all postcards, turn of the century photography. But the one most interesting piece, I happen to have it close by. So like we're in the back room, which I think you peeked in when you were here. This is all the eBay operation. So this picture right here is of a stagecoach robbery. This is the only known photograph of an actual stagecoach robbery that wasn't, for lack of a better term, staged or set up. So the story goes, the photographer, the stagecoach gets robbed somewhere in California, Yosemite Valley, and this photographer's like foreign, and he goes, hey, can I take a picture? They're getting robbed at gunpoint, and the robbers are like, okay, sure. So he sets up his old-timey wooden tripod. He puts his camera up. He gets a photo, and the guys in the background are in like burlap sacks, and it shows the people like, handcuffed or whatever. The robbers are like gentlemanly. They leave the guy, of course, his camera, otherwise this wouldn't have got developed, and his rosary, and they leave. So this postcard is postmarked like 3 months to the date of the robbery in the same town, probably the only place that could get the film developed. And this is like a historic Western artifact. The negative exists in the Yosemite archive, but this right here might be the only known copy to survive from the original negative, and it's postmarked on the back from Knowles, California. So I just sent this to Sotheby's to see if they're interested. I'm waiting to hear back. It could be $100, $1,000, $1 million. I don't know if it's whatever it's worth to the buyer.
Wow, man, that is wild. I don't even know like how one would come across something like that. That's insane.
And so it was mailed to Blue Hill, Maine. And the coolest part of it that I didn't mention was in the margin, there's a note, and the person talks about, hey, check this out. There was this robbery like 3 months ago, which helps that story even more. That they probably were like at the general store, like, hey, look at this happened. We printed like 100 of these. I mean, think about it. Back then, it was expensive to print a photo on a piece of paper.
Sure, yeah, of course. I don't even know how you did that back then. What year was that?
1905.
1905, right. I don't know, man. It sounds like the premise for Back to the Future 3.
Dude, it does. I know Doc Brown wants to go to the Old West. He buries the DeLorean. Back to the Future, probably my favorite. It's always rotating in my top 5 for favorite films.
So let me ask you this, because I do like to ask every guest. I run like a film club. We talked a little bit about it, I think, when you were up getting my collection. What is your favorite movie, your desert island film?
It would have to be The Big Lebowski.
Really?
It has montages. It has excellent music. It's comedy, but you have action. I mean, you have an incredible cast. Just Coen Brothers. So I love Coen Brothers.
Have you ever been to a Lebowski Fest? Have you ever been to like one of those cons?
I've never been, but one year I dressed up as the dude for Halloween. That's about as close I got, and I just had a white Russian with me all the time.
Dude, if you go, you all right, here's what we'll do. I'll throw on a bald cap. I'll be the Big Lebowski. You'll be the dude.
I'm the dude, man. All right, that sounds fun. Yeah, dude, we got to do that.
Yeah, we'll totally do that. They do it. Like, I think they do it once a year at like Port City Music Hall or something like that. And they definitely do them in Maine.
Yeah, Port City, great venue. Yeah, I wouldn't be. I mean, they should do it at Aura. That's a good venue. That new music venue.
Sure. Or I haven't been to Live at Madrid's yet, but I hear that's good.
Oh, I haven't been there either. Yeah, I'm here. I'm in the dungeon of cards. I don't get out much.
Yeah. What about music, Dave? What do you go to shows? Do you go to concerts?
I will go anything that sounds good. Like sonically, I'll go to. Back in my post college days, I was part of a company called Dancing Astronaut, and I filmed some early shows of Avicii, right when he changed from Tim Berg to Avicii. We would go
Okay.
to Ruby Sky in San Francisco, which is no longer there. It's one of the legendary like EDM dance clubs. Layback Luke. So a lot of EDM, a lot of trips to Vegas, a lot of trips I don't remember most of, but that's Vegas for you. What happens there stays there.
Yep.
Um, Country, hip hop, just in the store. I have like like a hip hop. It's like a clean instrumentals because I don't want people to. I would play stuff with expletives, but I never know who's gonna walk in, so I don't want to chance it.
Yeah, I understand that. I have less of a filter. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
But you know, let's see. I just got tickets coming up to Everclear. He's coming to Gardner, Maine, playing the Johnson Hall Opera House. I think they're like in their early 60s, but I'm like, I got front row tickets. We're going to be doing, whatever, all the Everclear stuff. Santa Monica, I will buy you a new house, all that shtick with all. It's going down July 29th.
that should be a good show. That's like my early days of watching TRL and like yeah, the radio. I used to listen to the radio a lot. Remember the radio?
Oh yeah, no, I remember the radio. So I had a music podcast. I still have it. It just hasn't. We're in a bit of a hiatus, but I had the opportunity to interview Tommy C. Do you know Tommy C?
No, I don't.
So he's on WCLZ right now, and I think it's every Saturday. He goes see where it goes, where he has a theme, and then for 3 hours you just see where it goes. But he was on BLM for a long time. He's kind of like a main legend of radio. If you want to throw on the radio, it would be family friendly, no cursed expletives. Throw on CLZ if you're ever open on a weekend on the afternoon.
Okay, legit. Yeah, because I swear like a sailor most of the time. It's just when I'm in the shop, there's kids. It's tough. And believe me, it's tough to turn it on and off, but I have to during the day.
Yeah, I come honestly by it. You know what my excuse is? I used to do this in basketball practice once in a while. I'd let a fuck slip, and I would just say, it's cool. I said it with a PH.
I like that. Hey, the kids can't argue. You're like, I'm the coach. What are you going to say to me?
Yeah, well, it's one of the perks. All right, man. I've had a great Friday evening before the 4th of July with you.
Like,
Dave, I want to ask you one final question. All right, because this is a show about friendship. I like to make people think. So here's what I'm going to ask. In 2008, my grandmother, she died of lung cancer. Okay. And so when she was on her deathbed, she said to me, you know what I wished? I wish that every time I wanted an ice cream sundae, I'd allow myself to have one. And I was like 26 at the time. And I took that almost metaphorically, where it's like, all right, what is my metaphorical ice cream sundae? What am I living for? What fills me up? So my question to you is, what is your sundae? What fills you up? Or what's on your bucket list? You can answer it however you like.
that's wow. It's always cool to hear that somebody has like wise words on their deathbed because you want to think you're going to say something profound, but you just don't know. And you don't know when it's coming. So, first of all, that's cool. But I think what I'm living for is to sit on the beach in the Exumas with my feet in the water or on a kayak, just sipping a drink and with total silence or the murmur of people on boats in the background. Like I take a trip there once a year by myself and I wake up in the morning and I have to get a water taxi to the hotel. So they give you kayaks, and you kayak to this bar, chat and chill, and you just hang out. There's like a cat there that's like the local cat. You talk to people you don't know, and you can swim with the rays. Just that's it. I'd just make sure I take that trip. I'd like to take it more than once a year and have like a house there. So that's definitely driving me to like make this place successful. So when it's cold here, because I hate snow, I'm from Maine and I hate the snow. I'd like to be away from the snow.
That is probably the most specific answer I've gotten so far out of the 8 episodes I've done on the show. So
I
love
think
that,
about it a lot.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I got this. I know my Sunday. I know how I want it dressed. I want my, my rainbow sprinkles, my cherry on top, maybe some marshmallows. You are on top of that. So that's impressive, man. I hope you get it.
Dude, same. More than once a year. We'll go for twice a year. And after that, sky's the limit.
Cool. How you celebrating the 4th of July?
I am taking myself to Higgins Beach tomorrow, hanging out with my friend Tom, who's manager here at Double Play, and his son, do some wiffle ball, jump in the water. And then after that, probably barbecue and hit the lake. So bodies of water. What are you doing?
We are going to be grilling some ribs. My mother's making potato salad. Dude, potato salad, such a pain in the ass. It's like 4 hours to make potato salad, but she's going to get up early and she wants to do it. She's motivated. Kudos to her. But we'll eat food. We get fireworks here in Booth Bay. And I think I might go out in town for a little bit. Julia Gagnon, she was the American Idol winner, is performing in town. So I might check that out for a while.
Dude, Maine, 4th of July, it's like a slice of Americana. I try to not promote Maine because we got enough people, but you got to tell people about the good stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's the way life should be. All right, man. Well, hey, I want to thank everyone who has taken the time to listen to our conversation. I hope you found it informative, insightful, entertaining. Maybe you just throw it on in the background and it's background noise. However you want to consume it, that's up to you. But most of all, I want to thank Dave for being a friend. Thanks, man.
Tanner, I appreciate you. Thanks for being a friend as well. And I can't wait to get our cards back. That'll be the next episode.